Saturday mornings hit different when you're building a dynasty. While most teams are just watching college football for entertainment, the Detroit Lions are hunting, scouting, identifying the next piece of a championship puzzle that's coming together right before our eyes. And today, I've got something that's going to get your heart racing, something that connects directly to how Brad Holmes and this organization are thinking about the future. Welcome back to Lions News Fan Report, your home for the latest updates and all the rumors surrounding our beloved team. I'm here bringing you exclusive insights, deep analysis, and everything you need to know about the Detroit Lions. Today, we're diving into something that could reshape our secondary for years to come, a move that would signal this team isn't just competing now, but building something that lasts. Stick with me because what I'm about to break down shows exactly why this organization is operating on a different level than the rest of the league. Let me set the scene for you. Sunday Night Football against Philadelphia, a primetime showdown between two of the best teams in the NFC. Two organizations that have mastered the art of building through the draft, developing talent, and creating sustainable success. But before that massive game kicks off, before we get to see our Lions under the lights at Lincoln Financial Field, there's a full day of college football happening on Saturday. And you better believe Brad Holmes and his scouting department aren't just sitting around waiting for Sunday. They're working, they're evaluating, they're looking at the next generation of talent that could wear Honolulu blue. Now, I want you to think about something for a second. What separates good organizations from great ones? It's not just about winning today. It's about ensuring you can win tomorrow, next year, 5 years from now. It's about constantly replenishing your roster with young, hungry talent that fits your culture and your system. And that's exactly what the Lions have been doing better than almost anyone in this league. Look at the track record. Aiden Hutchinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Sam Laporta, Brian Branch, Jack Campbell. These aren't just good players. These are foundational pieces, guys who are going to be cornerstones of this franchise for a decade. And here's the thing that should excite every single Lions fan. The organization isn't slowing down. They're not getting complacent. Even as we're sitting here with one of the best records in the NFL, even as we're legitimate Super Bowl contenders, the scouting department is already looking ahead to the 2026 draft. That's the mentality of a championship organization. That's what separates us from teams that have one good year and then fade back into mediocrity. So let's talk about what's happening on Saturday. There are prospects all across the country that the Lions are going to be watching closely. Players who could potentially be wearing Honolulu blue in a couple of years. But there's one name in particular that I want to focus on today. One player who represents everything this organization values. One prospect who could be the perfect fit for what Aaron Glenn and this defensive coaching staff are building. Before I get to that name, let me give you some context about our secondary situation. Right now, we're in a really good spot. Brian Branch has emerged as one of the best young safeties in football. Kendall Vildor has been solid. Terrion Arnold, our first-round pick, is developing nicely. But here's the reality of the NFL. You can never have too many good cornerbacks. The league is pass-heavy, offenses are getting more creative, and if you want to compete for championships year after year, you need depth and talent at that position. You need guys who can cover, who can tackle, who do their job every single snap without needing to be the star. And that brings me to the player I want to talk about today. A cornerback who's been turning heads all season long. A player who made one of the biggest decisions of his college career and has validated that choice with his performance. A prospect who currently has top 10 draft potential and fits exactly what the Lions look for in defensive backs. Mansor Delane, LSU. Remember that name because it's going to be mentioned a lot over the next several months leading up to the draft. Delane's story is fascinating. He spent his first 3 years at Virginia Tech, building his reputation, developing his game, showing flashes of being a legitimate NFL prospect. Then, after his junior season, he made the call to enter the transfer portal. And he wasn't just any transfer. He was one of the most sought-after cornerbacks available. Programs across the country wanted him. But he chose LSU. He chose to play in the SEC, to test himself against the best competition in college football. And all that decision has done is prove he made the right choice. Delane has been absolutely phenomenal this season for the Tigers. We're not talking about a guy who's just getting by on athleticism or potential. We're talking about a cornerback who is currently grading as the 5th best among 917 qualifying corners, according to Pro Football Focus. Let that sink in for a moment. Out of nearly 1,000 cornerbacks they've evaluated, Delane ranks 5th. That's elite company. That's the kind of production that makes NFL scouts start moving players up their draft boards. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Top 10 potential? The Lions are going to be picking at the end of the first round. How does this work? And that's a fair question. As things stand right now, if Delane maintains this level of play and continues to impress through the rest of the season and the scouting process, the Lions would likely need to trade up to get him. But here's the beautiful thing about the draft. Things change. Players rise and fall based on their tape, their workouts, their interviews, their medicals. What looks like a top 10 pick in December might slide to the late teens or early 20s by April. And even if he doesn't, Brad Holmes has shown he's not afraid to be aggressive when he identifies a player he believes in. Think about what Delane brings to the table. He's got excellent size and length for the position. He plays with physicality and isn't afraid to come up and support the run. His coverage skills are advanced, showing the ability to play both man and zone effectively. And here's the key thing that should make Lions fans excited. He fits the mold of players that Aaron Glenn loves. Guys who do their job. Guys who aren't looking to be highlight reels, but are focused on executing their assignment every single play. That's the culture we've built on defense, and Delane embodies that mentality. Let's talk about his production this season. He's got 1 interception on the year, which might not seem like a massive number, but context matters. Quarterbacks aren't throwing his way as much because they respect his coverage ability. When they do test him, he's making plays. He's tied his career best with 8 pass deflections this season, showing he's consistently in position to contest catches and disrupt timing between quarterbacks and receivers. Those are the kinds of plays that don't always show up in the box score, but are absolutely crucial to defensive success. Saturday gives us another opportunity to evaluate Delane as LSU takes on Arkansas. The game kicks off at 12:45 Eastern, and you can bet there will be NFL scouts in the stands watching his every move. How does he handle Arkansas's receivers? How does he respond to adversity if they complete a catch on him? Does he maintain his technique and discipline throughout the game? These are the things that separate good college players from legitimate NFL prospects. Now let's talk about the bigger picture here. Why does Mansor Delane make so much sense for the Detroit Lions specifically? It goes beyond just his talent and production. It's about roster construction and long-term planning. The Lions have done an incredible job building through the draft, but you always need to be thinking about the next wave. Cornerback is a position where you can never have too much talent, and adding a player like Delane would give us incredible depth and flexibility in the secondary. Imagine a scenario where we've got Brian Branch roaming the back end, Terry and Arnold continuing to develop on one side, and then you add Delane to the mix. Suddenly you've got 3 young, talented defensive backs who can grow together, who can learn Aaron Glenn's system together, who can be the foundation of our secondary for the next 5 to 7 years. That's how you build sustained success. That's how you go from being good one year to being great year after year. And here's something else to consider. Brad Holmes has shown a pattern in his drafting philosophy. He looks for players with strong college production, guys who have proven they can perform at a high level against top competition. Delane checks that box. He values players with good character and work ethic, guys who are going to fit the culture Dan Campbell has built. Everything we know about Delane suggests he fits that profile. And Holmes isn't afraid to target players from programs that develop NFL talent well. LSU has a long history of producing quality defensive backs, so there's a track record there. The other thing that makes this situation interesting is the timing. The Lions are in win-now mode, absolutely, but they're also thinking about sustainability. We've seen what happens to teams that go all in for 1 or 2 years and then fall apart because they didn't maintain their draft capital or develop young players. The Lions aren't making that mistake. They're competing for championships right now while simultaneously building for the future. That's incredibly difficult to do, but it's exactly what separates organizations like us and Philadelphia from the rest of the league. Let's also talk about the financial aspect for a second. He's talented, he's productive, he fits the culture, and he plays a premium position. Whether it takes a trade-up to get him, or whether he slides to a more reasonable spot, Brad Holmes needs to have this player high on his board. The secondary is good right now, but adding Delane would make it elite for years to come. And that's the difference between being a contender and being a dynasty. But I want to hear from you, Lions faithful. Do you think Mansor Delane is worth trading up for? Would you be comfortable giving up multiple picks to land an elite cornerback prospect? Or would you rather stay put and take best available player when we're on the clock? How important is it to continue building the secondary, even though we're already competitive? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because I love hearing what this community thinks. If you found this breakdown valuable, if it gave you insight into how the Lions are thinking about the future, I need you to do 3 things. First, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Second, give this video a thumbs up to help it reach more Lions fans. And third, share it with your fellow members of the Pride because we're all in this together. Here at Lions News Fan Report, we're bringing you daily content, deep analysis, and all the passion that comes with being part of the greatest fan base in football. Until next time, one. Pride!